Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for the Vicki Boutin design team and I'm very excited about this layout because it came from an idea that I saw on Instagram. I can't remember if it was one of the designers from American Crafts or my friend Jack McMurney who created a layout that had the beehive paper, the Queen's Bee paper, cut up so that it looked like little pieces of the beehive have broken apart. So I'm gonna do something similar, but I'm gonna make it look distressed. So what I'm going to start with is a foundation paper. I'm not going to prep it. That means that I'm just going to use it as is. And I want to have a piece of paper that's going to ground this entire layout. One, because I'm documenting a picture of my son and I want something masculine. So I kind of going to say around 2¼ inches of the bloom paper. I want to use the B side of the paper. I love the rich teal color. And I'm going to try to pick the one that's closer to the edge just because it has that distressed look at the edges. Once I have that in place, I'm going to set around 2½ to 3 inches of the Queen's Bee paper, and I'm going to use the one from the paper pad, but I think I should have used the one from the free papers just because the colors are more vibrant in the free paper than on the paper pad. That's just, something that I thought. Like I said, I always start sometimes with a plan, sometimes with no plan. This one was started with an idea and I like the way it turned out. But then I'm thinking I should have, but we'll, talk about it after. So what my idea is, I'm going to have the beehive or the Queen's Bee paper kind of coming from behind or underneath the teal paper. And for that, I want to I don't want to keep just glue the paper. I want to kind of fussy cut the beehive so that it looks like it's breaking apart from underneath the paper, but it is going to be underneath the paper. But I want it to be breaking apart because I want to add some distress to it. So the first thing I'm going to start doing is kind of start fussy cutting the hexagons, but I'm going to make sure that when I fussy cut the area, I don't cut each one of the hexagons separate. I'm going to try to cut it into little sections, and I'm going to keep the section. I'm not going to throw anything of what I'm cutting away because I'm going to use those little pieces after. And I started cutting every single hexagon. I enjoy fussy cutting. It's very relaxing for me. But it's not that it took long. It actually took very little time. It's just my mind kept changing. So my choice was to instead go with a pencil and kind of draw a map of where I wanted to cut. And then once I cut, I'm going to continue just kind of taking some pieces. I don't want big clusters of the hive to remain together. I want to create holes. I want to have the geometric shape of the hive coming through, even though when I add the distress on the back, it is not distress, just a little bit of mixed media. Some of it is going to get hidden, and you're going to see, like I said, all the leftover pieces that I have from the cut. I try to, when I cut the hive, to cut it in one single piece. I'm going to cut some of these areas. I don't want anything to be a straight line, meaning I want to have just complete hexagons. I don't want to have half hexagons or quarter hexagons, because I want to have, like I said, that hexagonal shape showing through on this layer. Now, I was lucky that one of the pieces that came together kind of forms a C, and I know I'm going to put it right at the bottom left corner of my layout, and that's where I'm going to house my title. So slowly this is becoming kind of a diagonal design, and I really love how this turned out. So you're going to see, now that I'm happy what everything looks like, you're going to see that I am basing I started actually basing my design by having the teal paper and everything on the right hand side of the layer. And I'm pretty much, like I said, all those little pieces kind of like glue in there what like my brain is thinking looks good, and kind of forming the idea of what I want. Now that I'm ready to add the mixed media, that's when I decided, what if I move the paper a little bit towards the left? I'm going to stay around 1.5 inches, and I love what it looks like because it gives me the option of adding some color, not making it so heavy on the right. And by moving the paper a little bit, it makes it lighter, and I'm able to bring some of those pieces of the beehive to the right hand side of the layout too. Now, what I always do is I always mark the area where I have the paper with a pencil, and I use a very light. You're going to see that I barely trace it just because it helps me define where I'm going to add my mixed media. So now that I have allergies, I'm fighting allergies really bad, so it might sound a little bit stuffy. My apologies on that. So what I'm going to use to add the mixed media is a watercolor marker, and I'm going to use blue Hawaiian and also a little bit of mint julep. I mix them together. I'll add some water because I want to dilute the color. I don't want it very concentrated. I want it kind of really light. And then I'm going to use my brayer just to create the background. And for that, I'm going to go only one way. I wanted to kind of have the streaks going from the left towards the right. Now that I have that in place, I'm going to come in with a little bit of the yellow marker, that's crushed pineapple, but my mistake was not to clean the brayer in between. So when I actually added the yellow, and once I put it down, I remember that I had the teal before, so it forms like a kind of a greenish neon in some areas. Not that I loved it, I don't hate it, but it just kind of turned me off for a little bit. And to kind of warm it up a little bit, what I did is add a little bit of the orange watercolor marker and just add splatters and some water and kind of soap up the water, and that kind of turn it down a little bit. But I really love the way this turned out. Now, to continue the idea of the hive, I'm gonna actually use the stamp set from the Wildflower and Honey collection. It also has a small beehive, and just because, like I said, I want to kind of create a distressed look to the background. And the beehive paper, why I think it's one of my favorite papers, is because the beehive is made out of a rainbow of colors. So I'm going to try to recreate that look using the art crayons, sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribble the art crayons onto the stamp set. I'm going to mist it with some water. I'm going to soak up the water that's probably left on the side of the stamp on my block. And then I'm going to stamp on some paper. You saw me try it on a piece of watercolor paper. And I realized that it depended on the amount of water. You get a more, or no more, but a better definition of the hexagon. And also if you do a second or third generation stamping, which means the first time you're going to put it down, it's going to be quite, it's going to be heavy in the water, heavy on the pigment, so you're not going to see the lines. But the second time around, you're going to see a more defined area. So you're going to see that I'm going to go at it. I'm going to try to not put as much water. I fail at it because, you know what, mixed media, it's not about, hitting home runs all the time. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes, it doesn't work out. You just got to work out with it. So what I'm doing is I'm just, like I said, I'm going to do the stamp it once and then a second and third generation just to, carry as much as I can of the colors that I added just throughout the layout. And you saw that before I started stamping, I actually put my papers where they were going to sit and actually mark the areas where I think I needed the stamping with a small penciled X. So all I'm doing is I'm mixing colors. I'm going to mix some of their crayons. I want to have a rainbow just because the paper has a rainbow in the background, a distressed rainbow. And you're going to see that I'm mixing yellows with reds. When you add the water, I'm just going to scribble the stamp. And then when you add the water, the colors are organically mixed together. So it makes it really nice and organic to have the mixture of the colors. My only suggestion is don't go with colors that will create brown. So don't mix yellow, red, and blue, because when they mix together, they're going to be brown. Try to stay in the same family. So you're going to see that I went with yellow, orange, and maybe a little bit of green, just because I knew that the little bit of green was going to mix with the yellow. So just keep that in mind, because when you add the water, the colors are going to mix. So if you're not careful, you're going to end up with mud. So just keep that in mind. So now that I have that in place, I'm going to start kind of setting up my layout. And the first thing I did is I distressed the teal paper just with my scissors. I just distressed the edge. And all I'm doing is I'm going to kind of set everything in place with some, not foam adhesive, sorry, with just some glue. And you're going to see that even though I've already cut the beehive paper, I'm going to continue some other pieces of it, just like I said, because I want to have those little holes inside the hive. And once I have that in place, I'm actually gonna, those little pieces that I have left behind, I'm just gonna kind of tack them on the right hand side of the paper. Just like I said, it's gonna give me the idea that the paper is on top of a broken beehive. That was what my brain was telling me. So now that I like what everything is looking, I'm just gonna go ahead and glue it. And then I'm gonna take it off camera and just go to my sewing machine and add 2 lines of stitching just to hold the teal paper onto the layout. And I actually stitch with, I think it's like an ochre kind of crafty color thread, just so it brings some more of the distress. And I don't want to use white. I wanted something very distressed on the background. And then, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my background. And it was very easy to put together. I did make sure that, like, you know, the layers dried completely before I continue working on. I don't show you that in the camera, but I make sure that there was they completely dry before I continue working. And like I said, by moving the teal paper like around 1.5 inches towards the left, I was able to extend the beehive and put those little pieces on the right hand side, and that just helped to not make it so heavy on one side and bring more color. Now to just to build the layout, I'm gonna back the paper the picture with the B side of the watercolor, like, you know, the big watercolor stripe paper. The B side of that story has like these beautiful yellows with like tone on tone circles on it. So I'm gonna back it with that, and then I'm gonna bring one of the cut apart cards I had cut apart for a previous project, and I had one of them, and I really love that orange tone that it has on the B side. So I'm gonna glue it to the back of the card just as a layer. So not the card, the back of the picture, sorry, just as a layer. I'm gonna add a piece of watercolor paper that I tried the stamping on, just to give me some dimension, kind of prop the picture from the layout. And then I'm just gonna add a few embellishments. I'm not gonna add lots of embellishments because I think the background is busy enough, and if I add quite a few more, it's gonna hide a lot of it. Now what I am gonna do is I'm gonna bring a little bit of coral to every single one of the clusters that I create. And for that, I am using pieces of the ephemera. I am using some of the stickers. I'm going to use the sticker book. It's probably one of the best things that of this collection. And not because everything is beautiful, just because it's so versatile. There's so much you can do. There's word stickers, there's hearts, there's circles, there's flags, there's labels. So it's perfect. It's like kind of a all-in-one. Sorry, just like really stuffy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just, like I said, I'm bringing pieces of everything. I am going to make sure that I add a little bit of coral or red to every single one of the clusters. Now, when I start creating the title, and if you see the picture, that's my son. And he's going to be 19 in a couple months. He doesn't smile. You know, I miss my babies when you say cheese and they smile. Now they see the camera and they just frown. So my title is going to be Hey Honey, because I really like that ephemera piece. And that's pretty much something I call my kids, honey, babies, and stuff like that. And then I'm gonna add the word smile really small, and I found this one in the color kaleidoscope chipboard. I still have one set of the chipboard. Actually, it's slowly depleting, and that's gonna be my title. Again, like I said, I'm gonna bring some coral to each one of the clusters. And just to finish this, I am gonna add a few splatters of diluted gold glaze. And outside of the camera, I'm gonna add my Lancer journal using a gold pen right underneath the picture on top of the teal paper. I love how this turned out. This looks so nice on real life compared to what it looks with the camera. You know, sometimes some layouts look really nice on camera, and sometimes some layouts look really nice in real life. This is one of them. It looks so nice in real life, and I hope you try it. It's very simple mixed media. Try using the art crayons to stamp your images using Vicki's stamps. It's actually such an easy way. It's gonna give you a very distressed look. It's gonna give you I'm gonna say a very artistic look to your stamps. And if you have any questions on how this came together, do not hesitate to contact me. I would love to help you. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to check Vicki's staff, and check out the girl staff too. They do amazing work. Thank you so much for joining me.